Okay friends, it's time. The top 12 movies of 2025 as per requested on TikTok, and I've also done 3 honorable mentions. So this is going to be in no particular order until I get to my number 1 movie of 2025. Shout out to Ona for watching lots of these movies with me at the end of the year. She's been a really good companion with the movie watching. Thank you. Okay, the first movie that took my breath away this year, and that was Grand Theft Hamlet. This is a Mubi exclusive. I didn't know what it was called when you are capturing video in a video game. Machinima? Cinema in the machine, I suppose. It is a meta-theatrical documentary. The gentlemen who are making the movie are playing GTA together during the pandemic, and they decide to stage a version of Hamlet within the world of GTA, using players they're meeting online as a way to deal with being actors out of work during the pandemic. Super unique, weird, not for everybody. I loved it. The next 2 are the most romantic movies I watched this year. They were my favorite rom-coms. The first was a Canadian film called The Nature of Love. The second was Frankie and Johnny. The Nature of Love was so uniquely shot. It had quick pans and zooms that you might see in a sitcom like The Office. Within this fictional narrative story about a woman who's sort of stifled in her marriage, and she meets a guy who's sort of a super hot lumberjack construction worker type who catches her fancy. Kind of a typical rom-com setup, but the movie itself is so passionate, so alive, so uniquely and beautifully shot, and I love that it's a Canadian movie. I actually couldn't stop thinking about it after I saw it. Frankie and Johnny is an older rom-com. It's actually based on a play that I read this year called Frankie and Johnny and the Clair de Lune by Terrence McNally. Michelle Pfeiffer and Al Pacino are the leads in the movie. They're beautiful together. Everything about both of these characters took my breath away. I found it for free online on Tubi to watch. If you're looking for a 90s romantic movie that has some edge about people who are very imperfect, very traumatized, this is a good one for you. Also, the fashion in Frankie and Johnny, since the movie was made in '91, is excellent, in my opinion. I love a jacket. On my list is also an older film, but an iconic one. This film is on the TIFF 100 Essential Movies to Watch, Best Movies of All Time list, and it is City of God. I think why this movie has so much critical acclaim is that it is a foreign film that got international attention, and it feels real. It was made with non-actors, at least for the most part. It's about Rio de Janeiro in the 70s, and it's about mostly a bunch of guys just trying to make enough money to survive. It's sort of a guy movie, fits into the world of someone who would enjoy like a Scorsese movie, I would say, but something about it is even more raw. It's always special to watch somebody's favorite movie with them, and the person I watched City of God with, it was their favorite movie, which made it all the better to watch. The other thing that's captivating about City of God is the way it's shot. It reminds me of a guerrilla-style filmed movie, handheld, shaky, following people around, sort of distorted and chaotic, which makes you feel like you are really with these people. The next movie I love this year, and I didn't even expect it to blow me away, but it was a documentary about Jeff Buckley that came out this year called It's Never Over. I didn't know much about Jeff Buckley and the album Grace, but this taught me a lot about it, really made me love the music, and my favorite thing about this documentary is it really focused in on the women in Jeff Buckley's life who influenced him, who inspired and loved him, and to hear about him through their eyes and for them to be platformed as opposed to Jeff Buckley himself was so moving. Also, if you know Jeff Buckley's music, what a perfect title to give the movie. Makes me want to cry. And my next favorite movie of this year was Sorry Baby. This one got great reviews as far as I know. It's an indie movie that's just really well done. If you've seen it, the sandwich scene was exceptional. You knew you were allowed to laugh all the way through. It felt very grounded, people felt real, but also specific and unique. And it was the best depiction and discussion of a woman who's been sexually assaulted that I'd seen since the movie How to Have Sex, which also really blew me away. So I cried a lot watching this movie, and yet I laughed a lot. Perfect combination. Next one here is a version of Beauty and the Beast that I saw at the TIFF this year. I was a TIFF member. There was a special screening of a Czech movie, so that caught my attention because of my Czech background. And it was a version of Beauty and the Beast that's sometimes translated to The Virgin and the Monster. It was a gothic horror fantasy dream. If you love the Phantom of the Opera, you're probably gonna love the design of this movie. It's maximalist. I think this movie is gonna come back into the cultural consciousness after the next year, where we're actually anticipating a lot of gothic style movies being made. Cinematography is quite complex. There's a lot of beautiful long takes following characters around the space. Really interesting, beautiful, dreamlike, scary, just a little bit scary, a little corny now as well. This is my my favorite version of Beauty and the Beast I've ever seen. If you're looking for something that's design forward, fairy tale world, takes you out of your everyday life for a little while, I'd highly recommend this movie. Also, the Beast is depicted very differently than any other version I've ever seen. He kind of looks like a bird more than like a hairy creature. It's a cool choice. Next is Nickel Boys, which I saw early in 2025, probably about a year ago. Oh my god, that was a hard watch. The way it was shot was so unique and so perfect for the content of the story. The whole movie is shot as someone's POV. We have our main character's POV, and we're seeing what he is seeing. And for a story that is so focused on racist oppression, it really puts you in the perspective of the main character going through these horrific experiences, and I think it was effective and brave, and when I think about the movie I still feel tight in my chest. It was so effective. Another favorite, and also one of Ona's favorites, was The History of Sound, which I watched more recently as it came out on Mubi in the fall. 5 minutes in, I was choking back tears. Reminded me of Brokeback Mountain. It sort of fits into that genre of movie and content as well, but it had a very poetic, gentle tone the whole way through. It was just beautiful on every level, and if you're looking for something sad, romantic, something existential and beautiful, if you like movies about music, I would really recommend this one. Next, Universal Language. Another Canadian movie, and so unique. I was so happy when Andrew Rankin followed me back on Instagram. That's just like a little flex right there for me. Never thought I would see Persian Tim Hortons in a movie. You'd have to see it to know what I'm talking about. I see this movie not being for everyone. You don't really know what's happening all the time. Non-linear, a bit dreamlike at moments, but it's a highly personal movie. It depicts Winnipeg, which we don't get to see on camera a lot. I don't want to say too much. I think you should just see it if you're open to something different and if you love Canadian cinema. Next is a movie that also might not be everyone's taste, but I loved, which was Eddington. Eddington was more Beau is Afraid than Hereditary, which is why I liked it. Perhaps the fair complaint about this movie is that you're not really sure what Ari Aster is trying to say, like what his perspective is necessarily, but I actually really liked that about the movie. It was a hard watch, it was cringy at times, but I laughed a lot. It was for me. I will say, I feel like that movie and Begonia were sort of in a similar category with a bit of a similar intention, and I just found Eddington a little more effective for me personally. Shout out to Stavros though, I love him. Now I will quickly go through my 3 honorable mentions. Let me look at my book. One is a short called L'Avance, which I would really recommend. It is about a young black artist's experience selling his work, particularly to a white woman. Just watch it, it's great. La Commune, which I reviewed more recently, is a several-hour-long epic. It is a mockumentary, documentary style, direct-to-camera interview, which is a dramatization of a particular period in Paris's history. It expands and blossoms into a discussion about politics, feminism, labor. It is a whole journey, and if you're interested in history and the history of politics and different social movements, broadly speaking, I think you're really gonna enjoy this movie. It actually deserves like a whole video on its own, which maybe I will get to one day because this is such a fascinating project by Peter Watkins. So good. And my last honorable mention, sorry everyone, is Joker Folie à Deux. I know everyone hated this movie. I just have a soft spot for the Batman universe. I loved this movie. I hated how they depicted Harley Quinn in this movie because it was so not canon, and I think they took the most interesting parts of the Joker and Harley Quinn's dynamic out of the movie. But the animated intro, the drama, the songs, I loved it. That was my unpopular like of 2025. And now finally, my top film of 2025 was It Was Just an Accident by Jafar Panahi. If you know me, you know that I love Persian movies. I was first introduced to the Persian New Wave when I took film history. We were talking about covert cinema and censorship. Iranian filmmakers classically have had to deal with this in the current regime. Whether you know much about Iran or not, this movie is going to be emotional and affecting, period. It is so well made on every single level. Also so specific, current, and charged. I cannot say enough good things about it. I couldn't keep my mouth shut in the cinema. I was gasping, I was moved. The couple beside me was worried about me. Panahi is a very brave filmmaker, and he's facing persecution for this very movie I'm talking about. He's been under house arrest many times and has persevered in making movies. I was first familiar with Offside, an older movie of his, and Taxi, both of which are incredible, and which he made very sneakily. He was not given permission to make the stories he did, but he did it anyway. And his latest movie did not disappoint, so please check it out.